Welcome, friends, to Crazy Women Country, where women's voices matter. We bring you the greatest female voices in the music industry, from the artists, songwriters, and producers, to managers and executives, and all the women who make the music industry what it is today. Thank you for joining us. Welcome, friends, to another episode of Crazy Women Country. I'm Donna, and today we are here with the amazing Justine Giles. How are you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
Oh, I am doing awesome. So I forgot to ask before we started. We usually talk about the weather. We were talking about some other stuff.
Yeah,
So how is the weather in Canada? I'm guessing it's a little bit chilly.
it is. But you know what? Today is beautiful. It feels kind of like a spring day, and I felt motivated to clean. But honestly, the past month has been really cold, and this is a little bit of a break before the next few months of winter. We get a lot of snow here, so I'm taking the sunny days while I can, basically, and just trying to enjoy it while it lasts.
Beautiful. Yeah, that's one thing I miss about being in the northern area. I'm in Florida, so all year long it's really nice and hot. We get those one
Yeah.
or two cold days of the year, and I'm still in shorts and t-shirt in those cold days, and everyone's dressed up like Canadians usually because they bundle up like it's freezing, and I'm like it's 65 degrees. It's not freezing, but to each his own, right?
Yeah. Oh, you definitely have to wear layers up here, that's for sure.
Mm, yes, oh, I can imagine. Not sure I'd be acclimated to that kind of cold anymore. So we love to start with the most difficult question: Who
Okay.
is Justine Giles?
Wow, that's a loaded question for sure. um, Justine Giles is an old soul. She's different. She's smart and she is wise and she's kind and she's very reflective and creative and independent. And yeah, I mean, that's kind of me in a nutshell. I think I've always loved music. I've always loved visual art and I was always an observer. So even as a kid, I grew up observing my surroundings and being really introspective and doing a lot of writing and poetry and that type of thing. So I guess that's me in a nutshell.
Wonderful. Well, I will say you have some music, amazing music out. I obviously checked out some of the older stuff that I hadn't heard of, so that was
Yeah.
kind of refreshing. But of course, let's talk about in October you released Another Chance. Tell us about that
Yeah.
one. Like, tell me about it. Like, what was your inspiration behind it? Was it really all personal, or was it kind of slightly personal and kind of more of a story?
Yeah, it's a great question. I write a lot of personal music for sure, and there has definitely been a big evolution over the years. If you heard any of my early material, it used to be very self-produced and kind of more on the folk side of things. And I think over the years I've just kind of been finding my voice and leaning heavily into storytelling, but I've also started collaborating with other artists and staying open to co-writes and stuff like that. And the pandemic was a great time to do that for me. I did a lot of virtual co-writes and just kind of tapped into some new energy. I moved actually across Canada right before COVID hit, so I was brand new here and was fortunate to have a few artist friends. So yeah, I did a lot of writing, and Another Chance was just a byproduct of that, and just trying to write something hopeful and something about just coming out of the last few years and just really another chance at love and at life and staying open to new possibilities is really what it was all about.
Beautiful. So obviously, you co-wrote Another Chance with what was it, Matt?
Yes, yeah, Matt
Yeah.
Blaze.
Yes, thank you. I'm like, I know I wrote it down somewhere. I'm like, I have all these notes, but sorry, Matt, nothing personal. But yeah, so what was it like, and I like to ask people, like sometimes they get to the point where they can only write with certain people. Now that you said with the Zoom and new creations and things
Yeah.
like that, what like now is Matt someone you write with regularly?
Yeah, and he was someone that
Mhm.
I didn't write with prior to the pandemic, but I had time to, think about who I'd like to work with. And I just think he's an amazing songwriter. And he also locally was like a songwriter in residence through one of
Yeah.
our public libraries. So he did a lot of virtual co-writes and was able to help a lot of artists during a time when there was no live music. And he was just really a supportive person for me. And he also co-wrote on my song Save Myself, which came out earlier this year in February. So him and I got to the nitty gritty and got through a pretty intense like therapy session of writing that song. So right after that, we were able to collaborate on Another Chance, which was much more kind of uplifting and hopeful. So yeah, you get to know people, right? And get to know their stories. So we created a really safe space and wrote some intense music. And then we wrote this hopeful song. And I had some pretty strong ideas as to how I wanted it to go. And the
Yeah.
melody I had pretty much all together. But Matt's really good as a lyricist to tighten up some things and change some wording and make a stronger bridge. So yeah, he's been really awesome to work with.
And that's exactly why I asked when you mentioned, their song that you released earlier in the year. Cause I was like, they're really great songs. Obviously one's more serious, one's more, a little less.
Yeah,
So that's why I was like, you know, it's so great to see the depth of a song. So just evolve even in two songs. So the same
totally.
co-writers. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
so tell me, who are some of the women that inspire you musically?
I love this question. I try to talk about this a lot because I think it's important. I
Mhm.
mean, I grew up listening to a lot of Lilith Fair women, so Sheryl
Yeah.
Crow and Sarah McLachlan, Alanis Morissette, really just empowering women. These days, I love Casey Musgraves, Maren Morris. These are women that may not necessarily get radio play even, but they
Mhm.
have really amazing careers. They can sell out stadiums. They have a loyal fan base and they're amazing songwriters, right? So it's really amazing for me to witness that in this current time. It's really awesome that yeah, they can support other women and they can have their strong voices and opinions and maybe they're not for everybody, but they're true to who they are and I think that's super inspiring.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more with you on those for sure.
Yeah.
So is there anyone that you resonate with that you're like, I don't know, how do I put this? Who did you want to be when you grew up? Like, as far as you've always loved music and stuff, but if you could like be someone like, for me, I always wanted to grow
Yeah.
up to like, I would grow up to be Dolly Parton, not just musically, just in general, because she's awesome, right?
She is
So
awesome.
yeah. So is there anyone like that you just want to grow up to be one day? Because I'm gonna be like, hitting a century soon. No, half a century and a few more years to go. But when I hit that age, I'm gonna be like, yeah, I still want to be Dolly Parton, right? Who wouldn't?
Yeah,
But
totally. Well, when I was asked as a kid what I wanted to be when I grew up, I always said a singer and a teacher. So there's some element to like mentoring or supporting other people. That's been a huge part of my life. So I'm trying to get involved with like local communities and up and coming songwriters and trying to support them on their journey because I think that's really important. But I think artist wise, I mean, I grew up with Jagged Little Pill, and I remember that was like the biggest CD at the time. And even my uncle had that CD in his player all the time. So, I mean, Alanis was just so ahead of her time, I think. Like,
she
I
was.
listen to a lot of her podcasts these days, and she's just brilliant. And
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of depth to her lyrics that I don't think people even picked up on at the time in the 90s. And now really hearing about what the songwriting meant to her, like some of the deeper meanings behind these songs, it's really interesting. But yeah, I think she was just such a unique personality too, and just did her own thing. And again, she may not fit into a box, and maybe she didn't fit in with other people at the time, but she was true to who she was, and she found her own voice. And I think that's just awesome. So I think she's a really awesome person.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. I mean, she definitely was one of the women that stood out to change commercially. Now, let's say it's commercial songs. I'm going to say this
Yeah.
change the choruses, or the choruses weren't identical. Like they had the same pretense, but lyrically they were different. So you kind of go through and you're like, oh, then that's pretty cool. And you can really pinpoint certain things. Like she really did start changing that commercially. Because if you remember
Yes.
commercial a lot, I can go, we could probably name 10 million songs that were the same verse and same chorus over and over and over, right? But that
Yeah.
was really, I think, in the 90s, one of the biggest things that she was known at. It's just amazing. Still
I
is.
totally agree. Yeah. And I think there's always been that idea of there's a clear cut path in this industry. And obviously the industry changes and ebbs and flows. And this is popular for a time and then it's not. So I really respect and admire artists that find their own way and find their audience. It's really cool.
Definitely. So now we've asked all kinds of other questions. Would you like to get into the 20 crazy questions?
Yeah, of course. Bring it on.
Wonderful. I promise we won't get arrested yet.
Not yet.
Not yet. So tell me, what is your dance like nobody's watching song? The song you have to
Oh.
dance to.
uh, Probably some sort of 90s jam. Well, NSYNC was like my first boy band concert experience when I was young. So anytime I hear NSYNC or Backstreet Boys, any of their hits, I have to dance around. There's no way I can't.
Oh, wonderful. In your opinion, what is the perfect workout song or genre?
Hmm. I would say anytime I hear Blinding Lights by The Weekend, it's like such a good like
Yeah,
dancing song, and I always feel like I need to jog. So that's definitely a song that I just equate to workout for some reason. And I would say just pop music in general. Like it seems to be good beats and good cleaning the house music too.
absolutely. I can't disagree with that. That's usually what I do. I throw music on and go. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, tell me, what are the top two concerts you've ever attended?
Hmm. Jason Mraz, I've seen live quite a few times, and he always puts on a really good show.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's like a full band with like a horn section, so that's really neat. Yeah, he always puts on a really really good show. And like I said, NSYNC was my first concert, and they were probably this small on a big screen because I was in a huge venue and way at the back. But it was cool as a kid to go see something in such a massive stadium, and everyone did the wave, and yeah, it was pretty fun.
Absolutely. Oh my God, yeah. I can remember that first concert that I went to that everyone, like when you're young and you just, everyone does the wave. It's just, yeah,
It's an experience.
it is. It doesn't even matter who you go and see at that point. It's the experience, right?
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
so give us some recommendations. Tell us some artists or albums we need to listen to before we die.
Right now, I'm still really hooked on the latest Maren Morris record, Humble Quest. I mean, I love all of her records. I think they're all great, but I can listen to that every day and I'm not getting tired of it. So I think that speaks to something. It brings you
Absolutely.
on a journey. It's very
Mm-hmm.
different than her other records as well. Um, just even production wise, but I love it. I think it's a really awesome record. So Humble Quest for sure. What else? Casey Musgraves. I also never tire of Golden Hour. So many great tracks on that record, and I think it's cool too with that. Not every song on the album sounds the same. I think it's cool that you can experiment with production on a record and but still have it flow if that makes sense. So some of the songs
Absolutely.
are more acoustic, and other songs lean into some, you know, could be Dolly Parton inspired. The other songs could be a little bit of disco. It's cool that she can experiment with different flavors. So I love that record. Oh, geez. Yeah, Jagged Little Pill, love it. And even some of like Sheryl Crow's early records were really awesome too.
Absolutely. I automatically, when you said Sheryl Crow, I always went to the Tuesday Night Club
Yeah,
album. I'm like,
exactly.
yeah. Mm-hmm. First,
Like that stuff never
oh,
gets old to me. Like I love listening back to those records from like 90s. There was
mm-hmm.
just so much great music at that time.
Absolutely. I always say, like, when I interview some of the younger artists, and I say this in the nicest way, I'm like, okay, I'm like, you weren't alive yet. Hold on, wait a second. Let's back up. Have you heard of this music before I start talking? Because I'm like,
Exactly.
I feel sometimes like I'm like, we can talk about the 90s, and they're like, yeah, I wasn't born until like, 2001. I'm like, what?
Oh
So
geez. Yeah. I was
it's so
born in
funny.
92. Like so but I came up with that whole era of
Yeah,
just incredible music.
absolutely. Absolutely. It was just such a pivotal area. I think because so much did cross over too. Like, country
Yeah,
was crossing over, rock was, yeah, it was kind of that merging. It was just really starting to cross over at that point. It was really cool.
yeah, exactly.
So tell me, speaking of the 90s, this may be your guilty pleasure, but tell me, do you have any guilty pleasure music? That music that's hidden on the iPod that only certain people know, you might listen to it? Maybe a little
That's a,
Hanson or Baby
oh,
Shark. Yeah.
oh man. Well, growing up in Canada, like I saw Justin Bieber's whole evolution from like he's getting signed and working with Usher to where he is today. And I have to say, like he actually has some pretty amazing records. I think the Purpose album is within the last like 10 years, and he actually has some awesome stuff. So he went from being like this little boy to this massive superstar, but he actually I think is a really cool songwriter too. So you might find some Justin Bieber on my old playlist.
Wonderful. So hypothetically, if I came to you and said, I need to hide a dead body, do you know a good place?
Hmm. Well, I grew up in a mining town where people work underground, so
So we're good.
maybe that's an option.
Oh, I'll be sure to call you.
Yeah, underground is probably the safest bet.
Do you have a game plan for zombie apocalypse?
No, I probably should though.
Well, I will warn you. The I had another Canadian artist on. She goes, you know what? I've never seen them. I'm going to go up to the mountains where it's snowing because I've never seen zombies in snow. I'm like, there we go. We just stay at the top of whatever mountain stays snowy all year long. Glaciers maybe. I don't know, whatever.
Yeah, that's
So
actually
yeah,
a good idea.
I was like, that's great. We just have to figure out the food and everything else later, right?
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
so in your opinion, tell me, what job would you be terrible at doing?
Hmm. Probably just some sort of 9 to 5, like that gets really tiresome and you do the same thing every day. Something in finance, that would be terrible. Like if I had to crunch the same numbers every day,
Mhm.
probably wouldn't be good. Yeah, wouldn't be for me. I think I would get bored.
I can understand that. If you won the lottery, what's the first thing you would do?
I would probably honestly think about where I need to be investing it and how much I need to be saving because I love to shop and I love hats. I have a hat collection. I love clothes, but I would want to make sure that I need to be putting some aside and not touching it and make a hard rule for myself that it's like locked up somewhere where I can't touch it unless it's like an emergency. And make plans for yeah. I mean, there's a lot of investments to make in this industry, so
Mhm.
I would also want to set aside like money for recording and money for marketing and money for travel and all this kind of stuff. So yeah, I would want to should probably call a lawyer or something or someone that's like a financial advisor.
Yeah. Oh, more than likely, yes. Oh, yeah, I can understand that. Oh my goodness.
It's
Probably
too
some
easy to
CDs,
spend it.
3 month CDs where you can't touch it. If you take it out, then you lose money or something like those things. Those are
Yeah,
probably right.
exactly.
Oh, tell me, what's the last thing that you read? A good book, or
Hmm.
maybe it was just an email?
I probably read more emails than anything else. Yeah, that's sad. I mean, I listen to a lot of audiobooks though and a lot of podcasts. So I don't necessarily read a lot of things on paper unless it's notes. Like I write a lot of notes to myself and I still write in a physical agenda, if that counts.
No, I'm right there with you. I might have it on electronic, but I also write it down because for some reason it's
Yeah,
like your brain absorbs it then. I don't know.
I have to have both.
So, do you prefer boots or heels?
Oh, I mean, I like heeled boots, so I like both, but I'm gonna go with boots. I'm gonna go with boots. More comfortable and I don't want to fall. I think sometimes too, I just have a bad ankle. Like when I was a kid, I used to sprain my ankles all the time. And sometimes my ankle will just give even if I'm in flat shoes. So I'm gonna vote boots.
Oh, if we made a movie about your life, who would you want to play you?
Ooh, that's a big question. Hmm. Oh, that's tough. There's a lot of great actresses. Jeez. I feel like Mandy Moore or trying to think of I don't know. I don't watch a ton of movies. Mandy Moore or like Rachel McAdams or someone someone like that.
They're both great choices. It's whoever you want to play you, really.
Yeah.
I'm sure we could get an open casting call for you when the time comes.
Yeah, I think we should.
Oh, okay. So this might be the second difficult question that we have. Where's
Okay.
Waldo?
Oh, somewhere in a striped shirt.
Very true. Oh, in your opinion, what's the best thing since sliced bread?
I mean, my first thought was butter because I love bread and I love butter. Bread and butter go really well together. I never tire of that. Um,
And on spaghetti night, a
yeah.
little garlic, perfect, you know?
Yeah, I love carbs. I love carbs, so can't go wrong. And actually I switched like there's different types of butter, but I started buying like the actual sticks of butter, like actual butter, and I it's enjoyable.
Well, that's a perfect answer. So, would you rather cook or order in?
It depends on the day. I mean, I do love cooking. Unless I'm really exhausted, then I'll order in. But yeah, I mean, I enjoy cooking.
In your opinion, what is the worst pizza topping?
Oh, pineapple. I can't do it. It's just there's something about hot pineapple that it rubs me the wrong way.
Okay, so you're definitely on the anti-pineapple side of this whole. I'm pretty sure we're gonna get a group of people together one day, and we're just gonna have pineapple, non-pineapple. Like it's literally that. The
Yeah,
couple that are in the middle that it doesn't matter to them, they'll eat it, whatever. And then there's yes and no people. Like it's one way or the other, and it's really. I'm telling you, it's everyone's very passionate about this. I'm not. I didn't realize how passionate pineapple would be on pizzas.
it's true. You either love it or hate it, I find for the most part. There may be a few people in the middle, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I can't do it. I can't do it.
Yeah. Oh, I'm still voting sardines, so that's my vote. But
Okay,
yeah.
that's a good vote too.
Mm-hmm. What do you wish would magically clean itself? The house, the car, everything.
Probably, probably the house, or more specifically, my oven or the bathtub or like the shower walls. I mean, that's on the bottom of the list for me. I don't clean it until I absolutely need to.
Totally understand that. And even those sprays, you can spray and whichever sprays you get. It's like I swear, it's like, oh yes, it's supposed to work. Rinse.
Yeah, it's
Like,
supposed
no,
to
you still have to
magically
scrub it.
clean.
I still have to scrub this one. Can you
I
just create
know.
something that I don't have to scrub it now? No. That would be awesome. Yeah.
A self-cleaning shower would be great.
We'll work on that. Tell us something on your bucket list.
I would love to see, there's a few places I really want to see and go travel. I'd love to see Europe. I haven't been over there yet. And even some spots in the States. Like I've never been to Nashville and I've never been to the Red Rocks Amphitheater. And I really want to check out that venue. It looks really awesome.
That is definitely on my bucket list, the Red Rocks Amphitheater.
Yeah.
Yeah. Would love to go see like someone like even Casey Musgrave. Like so, yeah, I mean, like that would be perfect, you know?
Yeah. Well, Marin actually did a show there last month and I wasn't able to go and I really wanted to go. It would have been really cool.
Absolutely. So when you go, you're gonna have to make sure you like tag us in some posts or whatever, because yeah, I love that place. It's just one of the coolest places ever, huh?
Yeah, it's always been on my bucket list. I have yet to go, but I will go one day, hopefully.
Well, if you could be any person or a position like a doctor, or a lawyer, or an accountant, which we probably know the accountant's out, but who or what position would you want to be for the day and why?
Hmm, that's a tough one too.
Mm-hmm.
Because I do love what I do, and it comes with a lot of different hats to wear, right? Like there's a lot of elements to being an artist that go into different fields.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe something in like the travel industry, like something really strange, like someone that works on like a cruise ship or someone that gets to go really cool places that I would never see. That would be kind of cool.
Awesome. And for those of you who are just listening, Tigger just joined us. It's been a while since she's really joined for say hi. You know,
So
I just want
cute.
to be
I
rubbed. I don't want to say hi. I
love
just want to be
cats.
rubbed. Here, let me pass her over to you. You can
Now that would be cool.
right? That would be awesome. Let's just teleport her. Ow, ow. Relax. Put your claws down. It's okay. Sit down. Get comfy. So sorry about the interruption. But she says hi anyway. You're welcome to come and pet me her anytime.
I would love
Oh,
to.
you're welcome anytime. Just let me know in advance. I'll make sure that we can put up a blow up mattress or whatever because we don't have any more spare beds right now, but we'll make it happen.
That'd be fun.
Tell me, do you have any words of wisdom that you live by? And if so, what are they?
I mean, I feel like I'm a pretty words of wisdom kind of person. I love hearing podcasts and things that inspire me. I live by a lot of Brene Brown stuff, like just
Mm.
trying to lean into vulnerability. That's one of my biggest things. It can just seem like it's scary and risky, and some people obviously see it as a weakness, but I've been listening to a lot of her wisdom about just trying to show up and kind of wear your heart on your sleeve. It can be terrifying, but I've found that all the times that I've leaned into that, it's paid off and has fostered some really great connections with people and led to writing some awesome songs. So yeah, I think just daring to be open and vulnerable, even when it's scary, is probably something that I'm trying to live by these days.
That's awesome. And yeah, I mean, anyone who hasn't read any of her books, we're going to recommend that you go read those books or listen to the
Yeah,
audios, whichever. Yeah, they're well worth it. I mean, I've listened to her audios usually probably because my reading time
same.
is a lot less than it used to be. So but yeah, definitely inspirational. So tell me, what does obviously we're at the almost the end of 2022 here. What does next year hold for you? Like, you plan to do obviously more co-writes, release more music, touring. What's the new year look
Yeah,
like for you?
I we get some pretty crazy winters in Canada, so really I'm going to be focusing on writing for the next few months just because it's going to be brutal outside and I'm not going to really want to go anywhere. And our live shows kind of die down here. I don't know if it's the same everywhere, but just in the winter
Yeah.
seasons it gets a little bit sparse with shows. There's not as many festivals, but by the time spring, summer, fall rolls around next year, I'd love to be
Yeah.
doing similar to this year. I mean, I did a lot of festivals and doing a little bit of touring. And yeah, so I'm really going to be focusing on writing for the winter, planning the next recordings and releases, and doing it all over again, and just following the cycles as they come.
Wonderful. Well, we'll be on the lookout. For those of you in Canada, make sure you go catch Justine at a show next year in the summer, spring.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. I mean, if you're ever in the States, you got to make sure you let me know. We can probably get you booked in Florida. If you need to escape the winter, let me know. We'll just bring
Now
you to
that
Florida.
that's a good plan. That's a really good plan.
And there's enough Canadians down here, so you won't feel alone. Because they all come
That's
down
true.
they flock south for the winter too. So yeah, but you are welcome back anytime, Justine. It's been a pleasure
Thank
having you
you.
on today. And I hope when you have some new music, you come on and share it with us all.
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to. And I'd love to come down at some point. I really miss Target. We had Target up here for a little bit and then
Yeah.
it didn't really last up here. So I miss that store.
Oh my goodness. I can't believe that. Maybe it was the winters because people didn't go out as much. Maybe, I don't know. But
who knows? I something about it just didn't work in the market up here. But I don't think they were as big of the stores as you had down there. Like we did kind of a smaller version, and it just didn't fly.
Yeah. Wow. Hopefully, well, we could always I can take you on a virtual tour of Target next time I go. And if there's anything you need, let me know. We'll just pick it up and ship it to Canada. Or you'll have to come to Florida and get it.
Exactly.
Well, thank you again for joining me. And thank you, friends, for joining us for another episode of Crazy Women Country. Have a great day. If you enjoyed today's episode of Crazy Women Country, don't forget to give us a thumbs up. Be sure to click the subscribe button for new interviews weekly. And thank you, friends, for joining us today on Crazy Women Country, where women's voices matter.